up the beginnings of the European Union. It became officially the European Union with the Treaty of Rome, 1957. They just had the 50th anniversary last year for something that supposedly began 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It's the same thing here. We, Judicial Watch, big watchdog group, sued, got the documents from SPP. It says global warming isn't real, but we're going to get a tax to control people with it. Richard N. Haas, the head of the Council on Foreign Relations, our Royal Institute of International Affairs subgrouping for the Anglo-American...
Oh, don't get me going about global warming, guys, please.
Well, but listen, they say it's fake, and Richard N. Haas, I can even pull the quote up, this is public, he put this out publicly, says it's a way to wage war against humanity by the state, but people aren't listening.
Listen, guys, people aren't listening. You know, there's no such thing as global warming. There is such a thing as climate change,
natural.
The climate, it's natural, but the politicians here in this country, in Britain, at this particular moment, and
they want
David,
the taxes.
Oh, we're paying. Listen, David, is anybody complaining? You know, I mean, we're all saying fuel $1.15, $1.16, $1.18 a litre. That's like what, $3-4 a litre.
You know what it is here?
No, go on.
The national average is approaching $4. Of course, with the dollar, you could use for toilet paper. But expanding on that just briefly. First, they said none of this existed for 50 years with Europe. Then they told England it doesn't exist. Now they're pulling you into it. The Hydra has you. The octopus has you. Same thing here. But Judicial Watch sued, and the first thing they said is, we've got to keep this secret. I mean, we have the documents where the three governments are merging. We're already in it. And then, last year, Bush, Merkel, and Barroso sit up on C-SPAN and say they're already merging the European Union and American Union, but if you criticize it, they say it doesn't exist. We're already merging.
Here's one. First for David, then for Alex. Listen. Would one world government be such a bad idea? We'd have no one to fight with. There'd be no arguments.
The globalists waging war.
Yes, but we would, you see. I mean, a journalist said to me once when I was talking about the agenda for a world army, but what be the point of a world army? Because there'd be no one to fight. Well, you know, I thought, you're a journalist, aren't you? Because the people to fight will be the people that resist the imposition of the world government.
Exactly.
That's what it's for. You know, a world government can only have power if it has the ability to impose and insist upon that power and its decisions being implemented. That's what the world army is all about. And this is what I've been talking about, and others have been talking about for a long time. How NATO and the United Nations peacekeeping operation are going to be merged and used for more and more like NATO out of their original
global
area agenda, like they're in Afghanistan now, to bring about the merger into this.
And let's expand on that. Let's expand on that. What he's saying is true. If you go to the Naval War College, the Army War College, if you go last year, London Guardian reported on it. It's a 100-and-something page report. The Ministry of Defense in England did that 10-year prospectus, and it says that it's rapid reaction paramilitary policing forces to wage war on domestic rebellions and uprisings against, quote, the New World Order. So the World Army is about going in against rebellions of starving masses of people who are being exterminated under the global plan. You see, the world government is a means to an end. You could argue that we were an agrarian society, hunter-gatherers, then farmers, then city-states, nation-states, empires. The next step is global. You know, we're a small world now. That's one issue. But the point is the people driving it want to take all of our decisions out of the process for a global dictatorship. They want the world government so they can carry out the forced extermination of 80% of the world's population. That's the goal.
This is a very depressing evening, really, guys. If it wasn't, you know, if this is really the goal, and Alex's new DVD, which is called Endgame, we're going to talk about later, is all about this. Do you actually think, let me ask David, do you think this is about exterminating 80% of the population of the planet, David?
Well, Well, we can talk about percentages, but without question, in their own writings and their own statements, they talk about the desire to reduce dramatically the global population. But I would say this, it may sound depressing what we're talking about, but what makes it not depressing is the fact we're now talking about it. We are now starting to crack in these walls of suppression, not on a scale we'd like yet, but we're starting to get there, so that people are becoming aware of the agenda to enslave them. And
people deep now know it's true.
Yeah, I tell you, after I started doing this about 1990, 1991, and the difference in people opening their minds to what's going on compared with then is utterly staggering.
But you've both still got a long way to go. I mean, the recent polls in this country, in America, not many people are that interested.
Well, a lot of those are cooked, but let me be clear on the numbers. 80% is the average, and what you see in most of the official UN documents, biological diversity assessments, State Department memorandum 200, Royal Commission on Population Control put out by His Highness. That's the number you see most often. Some, like Dr. Eric Pianka, the head of the whole department at UT, says forcible killing of 90%, but there are some, like his graduate students, who threatened me when I talked about it 2 years ago and it made national news from right here in Austin. They said, how dare you? We are going to kill all humans. We are extinctionist. Humans are a cancer. Now, there are other
Actually, hang on. Let me throw this in. We've got to take a commercial break in a moment. Let me throw this in. If we're really concerned about the planet and the state of our planet, never mind about carbon footprint, because I think that's the biggest con that there is going at the moment. Everybody talking about their carbon footprint and being carbon neutral and all that. Rubbish. If we're really concerned about the planet, we're overpopulating it. We don't need quite as many human beings. In fact, we could probably do with a half, if not even less.
But see, that's why a lot of people, almost half or more, you can debate it, actually think that. And the road to hell is paved with good intentions. See, it sounds reasonable to get people to cut back on their numbers, and maybe in the next hour or so we can break down the actual numbers. But that's why the globalists are able to sell this. And that's what Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, exposes, because this is a much larger plan for a forced 80% population reduction.
All right. David, I know you want to go. You've been with us for over an hour this evening. Thank you very much indeed. Come into the studio. Join me soon when your next trip to the Cap. And David Icke has been my guest. David's going to come into the studio, hopefully in the near future. A lot of you wanted me to ask him about his shape-shifting lizard people, and I figure I'll leave that until he's sitting in the studio opposite me, because that'll just take us in a different direction. Alex Jones, I think the world's leading conspiracy theorist, who is with me tonight. Alex, good to have you here from the U.S.
Hey, it's always great. I love coming on your show and love all the topics you discuss. I like David. I think he's really an intelligent, talented guy. I do have to say, though, about 98% of what he says is well-documented and provable, and then he kind of puts a cherry on the top of the sundae of these blood-drinking reptoids. And I don't get into chupacabras or blood-drinking reptoids from Planet Pop-Tart. And I also don't get into Bigfoot and things like that.
David Icke is an interesting and complex character, I think, from the time that he was, as you probably are aware, professional sportsman, quite a well-known sportsman, and then he became a commentator,
broadcaster,
and then suddenly he was on the front page of every paper in this country saying that he thought he was the son of God and all that. Which suddenly, he went on to explain that he got it wrong and blah, 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 blah. But then he starts to bring all this other stuff to the table. So he's a guy who's searching for all sorts of things as well. But he's talking about all sorts of things that, a few years ago people would have pointed fingers at him, and they did, and called him names. Now, an enormous amount of people are listening to him seriously. It's quite bizarre.
Well, I would say this. It's always healthy to widen your horizons, to question everything. In fact, question the things I say, the claims I make. I don't want you to just say, oh, I believe him or I don't believe him. I want you to go out and find out if this redneck from Austin, Texas, is telling you the truth or if I'm lying to you. Now, you're going to find out I'm telling you the truth, and 9 times out of 10, it's much worse than I'm even articulating. And so the issues I talk about
well, that's really cheered us up, yeah.